Alright, since this was voted for on my Patreon, I am making this video. I almost legitimately forgot that I was doing my personal experiences with the six and only Star Wars movies to ever be made. The saga. Um, so yeah, this one was voted for. I had a couple other video choices, but the Patreon, who is part of my Patreon, is the one who voted for it. Um, So here we go. That was a awkward ass intro, but let's just keep going. Um, Experience with episode 5. Just as a reminder, these videos are not some in-depth kind of analysis or review or blow by blow, step by step of the movies. They're just how I came across them, what my thoughts on them were, and what developed or didn't develop, or what pop culture takes away from these movies that I didn't, or that I did and they didn't, so on and so forth. So if you want an in-depth analysis or an in-depth review or blow by blow or anything like that, probably don't watch this video. Now, um, I'm gonna tell the story the way that I remember it best. I could be wrong. It might sound a little different from all the other times I've talked about it, but pretty much this is what happened. Episode 5 is the first Star Wars movie I ever watched, Empire Strikes Back. And the way that it happened was, I don't know how old I was, 5, 6, 7, around there. And my birthday had just passed. Or maybe it passed a little while beforehand, but whatever. And a family friend, we were going to where he was, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, your birthday passed by, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Here, I got this for you," and he pulls out this VHS of Empire Strikes Back, which I think had Yoda's face on it. I could be wrong. Maybe that's Return of the Jedi. I don't remember, but it was the one with either the Stormtrooper's face or Yoda's face, one of those. And I was just like, "What?" I honestly I was a little offended because I wanted a toy, and he gave me this movie that I had no idea what it was, and just dumb kids are dumb kids. I looked at it and I was like, I don't want to watch this shit. This looks stupid. And so I put it away and I didn't watch it for a long time. And then at some point, I ended up putting it on because I don't know what I was thinking back then. Obviously, it's been years. But at some point, I put it in and I let it play, and I did not know what was going on. Obviously, because I came in a movie late, and I was not at all that interested to begin with. Um, at least until, just like with a lot of the other Star Wars films, Darth Vader showed up. Because, like, the whole Hoth thing, I didn't really care about. I didn't know what the Force was. I didn't know what the lightsaber was, although I thought it was cool. It just seemed like a series of events that were happening in front of me, which was, whatever. And then the Empire shows up, and I see all these ships, and I see Vader, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, maybe there's something here that I like. And you know, as much as my kid self could tell Vader was the bad guy, like I said in my New Hope video from made years ago, I think it was years ago, yeah. I was drawn in by Vader as opposed to everything else that was going on. In fact, the character who I wanted to stay on at all times was Vader. I didn't want to leave Vader. I wanted to stay with him because he was so freaking cool. To the little kid self, like, what is he actually doing? I couldn't have told you. What is the point? I don't know. Who's Luke Skywalker? I don't give a shit. It was really sad. Just little kid like, I want to watch Darth Vader. God damn it! And then so when the whole movie goes by and he's not in it as much as people lead on, like uh, pre-Hoth, a little bit of Hoth, and then he's in the asteroids, and then there's kind of that lull where Bespin happens. I guess he is in the movie a lot. What am I talking about? Yeah, he's in the movie a lot, and it's the Bespin part that I remember just being like, can you get back to Vader now? And then he shows up, and you're like, okay, good. But that was also the point in the film where it very clearly becomes about Luke's struggle against Vader. So I also began to go, mind you, this is little kid me, so claim heresy all you want. I am not going to apologize for how I thought when I was like, what, 2 decades younger. um, and so when the whole "I am your father" thing happened, I was just kind of like, okay, that's cool. And I didn't get it. I didn't get like what the significance of that was. And then obviously I heard all the jokes everywhere all the time, and I was like, is this the movie where that came from? I don't know. I didn't really care. Um, God, such a long time ago. I think honestly, like parts of The Empire Strikes Back, I didn't watch all the way through because I was a little kid. I had it on. I saw Darth Vader. I kind of zoned out when he wasn't on screen. I came back to it, and then I think I probably turned the VHS off at some point because I was just like, I'm done for now. And then I came back, and then I tried to watch more of it, and then I ended up rewinding to rewatch like Vader and the Imperial fleet or whatever. Uh, so yeah, the thing about Empire Strikes Back is that going off of what as a little kid me thought, and Empire Strikes Back led to I either saw Return of the Jedi right after, or I saw Episode One right after. I knew they were connected. I just couldn't put the pieces together because I didn't know what was going on exactly. And then A New Hope I didn't see for a long time. I didn't see New Hope until after I'd seen Episode Two. Um, because again, you want to talk about seeing these movies out of chronological order. I saw them out of chronological fucking order. Um, and for me, Empire Strikes Back was a really fun movie, but little kid me didn't appreciate it, especially when Vader wasn't on screen. Little kid me didn't really understand why I was supposed to be rooting for Luke Skywalker, Leia, and Han, because I really didn't give a fuck about Han. And I think maybe the reason why I have never given a shit about Han my entire life is just because little kid's me impression of him was that he was just a kind of like a douchebag. Like little kid me, I'm not gonna say is like this hyper intelligent being, but I will say little kid me already had a thing or two against jock types, and Han Solo always came off as a jock type. That jock type with a heart of gold. And I know plenty of people love him. I am in the minority of people who are like, I could give less of a shit about Han Solo. That's fine. That's my personal preference. I don't care about him or his story or his struggle. I don't care about the Millennium Falcon. And to be quite honest, I don't care about his like relationship with Leia. I was always like, that little kid me was like, ew, gross. Why would you do that? And then as I got older, I was just like, oh yeah, I forgot these scenes are here. Um, I didn't care about their booming, burgeoning romance. In fact, I think the point in which, yes, one of the points in which I turned the VHS off and did not come back to it for a couple days was right when they were dealing with the Minox. And I was just like, yep, I'm done. And I turned it off. I figured the movie was shit, so I wasn't going to watch the rest of it at that point. Like, I don't know what little kid me was thinking. It's like, oh, Vader's cool, but this movie fucking sucks. And then, oh, let me go watch it again. It's stupid. Um, so yeah, I mean, like everything Vader related, I was just absorbed in. I wanted to hear him speak. I wanted to see him like work. I wanted to see him intimidate his men. I wanted to see him lead his men. I wanted to see the Empire, keep on moving and fighting. And the rebels, and I don't know what it is about the movie because the stale kind of sameness between the Imperials, the clean like slate of their metal. God, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, the conformity of all of their troops, of all of their blasters, of all of their naval, designs with the Star Destroyers, the conformity of how they operated in this prim and proper fashion, made them, in my mind, and I think I am a little OCD, so maybe this had something to do with it. It runs in the family, to be honest. It made them more desirable because I liked how sleek and how uniformed everything was, as opposed to the rebels who seemed like, as rebels are, kind of a ragtag, kind of mishmash, just thrown together, kind of like soup of resistance, soup of rebellion against the Empire. And maybe that's just one of the things I took away from the my experience, which says my brain was like, oh, these guys are much more well prepared, much more advanced, they have much cooler, um, tanks and weapons and designs. The AT-ATs, the AT-STs, the snowtrooper armor always looked a lot better than the regular stormtrooper armor to me. Um, it's just a personal armor preference, but still. Darth Vader looked awesome. The SSD, the Executor looked great. Even the regular Star Destroyers would look great. I didn't really care for all the bulbous kind of weird designs of the Rebellion ships, which are, in hindsight now and with the retconning, Mon Calamari ships, which Mon Calamari ships all look fucking weird, except for the Millennium Falcon, which I didn't care about. Like I said, I'm in the minority of people who are like, oh, the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, goody.
Um, and Luke stuff on Dagobah, because I haven't touched on Luke a lot yet, but Luke was interesting to me certainly more than Leia, Han, and Chewie and 3PO stuff was. Just because, like, I didn't. Certainly, when Yoda showed up, I was like, "What is happening?" I didn't know. Like, obviously, the Force just kind of ingrained itself as like just some magical bullshit him and Vader could do. But Dagobah was a little bit odd because like I didn't really invest myself in like the words Yoda was using or the wisdom they were trying to impart. And then when Obi-Wan showed up as a ghost, I was like, "Who are you? Why do I care exactly?" Because I hadn't seen 4, so I was just like, "This feels like I am not getting anything out of this," because I wasn't. In fact, maybe little kid me, I don't think I did, but little kid me might have probably thought it was like his dad or something. And although even then, I don't think I thought that, and especially with Vader saying, "No, I'm your father," I think it was kind of like, "You thought Obi-Wan was your father? No, it's me." I thought maybe little kid me was like, "Oh, that's the twist," but not really. I don't. Like I said, this is ancient history I'm trying to dig up here. Um, no, so like when Luke was all like, "Oh, I gotta go and help my friends," and I didn't, Lando was kind of cool because going back to why Luke has to go anyways. Lando was kind of cool, but again, I didn't invest myself much into him. He was just like the guy who betrayed them, and then he was not the traitor. He was the helper because I wasn't paying attention. So I was just like, oh, so he's a bad guy. No, he's a good guy. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Didn't give a shit about Boba Fett. And that's hilarious to me. Is that almost the only reason the only reason the Mandalorians exist is because of Boba Fett's fucking armor. If Boba Fett had looked like Dengar, if Boba Fett had been Dengar, no one would have made the Mandalorians. No one would have given a shit about the Mandalorians. No one would have ever written about the Mandalorians. They wouldn't have been injected into history upon history. Oh, did you know that in the Great Sith War, the Mandalorian Crusaders came from Mandalore, and they wanted to conquer the galaxy because they love fighting, and they're honorable people because they butcher and countless civilians by the millions to teach them a lesson about weakness, because the Sith are so much more eviler than the Mandalorians. Despite the fact that the Mandalorians became subservient to the Sith, I don't know, 3, 4 times. Hey, did you know that after that first crusade, the Mandalorians decided that they were going to have another crusade propagated by another Sith, and they're going to butcher billions of people just because they wanted to teach them a lesson about being rinse and repeat. So, anyway, if you don't understand just how much I dislike the Mandalorians, that gives you a little bit of the taste of it. But still, back to my point, I didn't give a shit about Boba Fett. I think the copy I watched obviously hadn't changed his voice yet because episode 2 hadn't come out yet, so they didn't have I'm forgetting his name, but the guy who plays and has played Django and Boba and at least done the voice work for him forever. And I mean, I love the guy, but I don't remember Boba Fett's original voice all that well. I'm sure if I went onto YouTube right now, I could find it, but I don't care. I mean, it's Boba Fett's voice. I'm not gonna get upset about it. You know, of all the things that have been remastered with the original trilogy, there are some things I just can't be bothered to get upset with. Like, having Boba Fett's voice match up with the voice of, Jango Fett. I don't care. I honestly don't give a shit. And if you give a shit, fine. But really, what does it add or take away? I mean, like, if you're upset that it takes away from your like memory of the movie, fine, I understand that. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't do jack diddly. If you're upset about about Luke Skywalker falling, on Bespin, and he has the Palpatine scream, that one I can understand, and that one I would agree with because we all know that's not Luke screaming. So it's understandable that we'll be a little upset that Palps is screaming for Luke in Episode 5, but all this is besides the point. When it comes to just all this, hold on, let me reorient. Episode 5, it's hailed as the best of the entire saga. I mean, I don't like I was being, facetious in the beginning with all the other Star Wars films that exist now and all other Star Wars material. Everyone still hails Episode 5 as being, the crowning achievement. Now, me being an individual who can come up with my own view of things, my own opinions, my own decisions, my own likes or dislikes, I hold that Episode 5 is probably the best made film of the entire saga and of all Star Wars films. But personally, I get the most enjoyment out of Episode 3. I have said this and I will continue to say this. I have a very different set of favorite Star Wars films, and if you like Episode 5 better than 3, like most people, good for you. I'm just telling you what I feel. I respect your opinion, respect mine. If you like Episode 2, which I feel to be the weakest of all 6 Star Wars films, or no, Episode 4 I feel is the most weak of the 6 saga films. And there are reasons for that. I've already explained them in my Episode 4 review, or not review, God. My experience with Episode 4 video done a long time ago. Basically, it's just, I screwed myself over because it feels like an anticlimax because I watched pretty much every other Star Wars film except for 3 before I saw 4, and I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling this because I've already been spoiled by Episode 5, 6, 1, and 2. And, there are things to really enjoy about 5, and I enjoy the fuck out of them. The first time the Imperial March starts playing, it's like, oh, this is peak Star Wars right here, especially peak Empire. The fact that the movie begins and it is basically named Empire Strikes Back, it pretty much tells you that, yes, the last film, the Rebels won a major victory, but the Empire is not defeated, and they're going to come back, and they're going to come back swinging. And, I think it's very bold, because some films and some franchises have it so that the good guys continuously fucking win as soon as they get, like, the first major victory, because lots of films, lots of TV shows, lots of franchises make you believe that the bad guys are pretty damn good and that they're unassailable and that no one will ever win. But as soon as you get that first major victory and everyone's like, I can't believe we've done this. Wow, they actually might be defeatable. Next thing you know, they're just winning over and over and over and over again. And it's not fun because next thing you're wondering, were the bad guys ever really that big of a threat? I mean, really? Rebels, I feel, suffered from this because, yeah, you get a lot of lip service as to how powerful the Empire are, and yeah, sure, little victories here and there for the bad guys, but for the most part, it was always just, oh, the almighty Empire defeated, oh, the unstoppable Empire defeated, oh, the Inquisitors defeated, oh, but Darth Vader beaten, his ass fucking just tanked, oh, but Grand Admiral Thrawn beaten by space whales. It's just like, you need to have a special blend to show that your villain still has some importance, some presence, some viable threat, and Rebels stole that from the Empire on a daily basis. At least The Empire Strikes Back, the second film of the entire series, was like, no, the Empire comes back in and they destroy your base, they kill quite a few people of your entire alliance, they capture and torment Han and Chewie kind of, I guess, I don't know, not really. You know, they capture and they like torture them, if not physically, then psychologically. Um, Luke, the hero of the story, goes to fight Vader, and Vader kicks his ass and takes off his hand, and that's where the movie leaves you. It's basically saying like, yeah, the Empire, for as much as you may kick its ass, is still going to come back, and it's going to come back hard. And I appreciate that now in hindsight. Obviously, not when I was a kid because I didn't understand. I appreciate a story having the guts to tell me the good guys can win, but the bad guys are still going to be able to fight. It's not a matter. It's not a matter of who's going to intrinsically win every single time. It's a matter of one. A battle can be won, but the war is not won, and that's all I'm asking for. Is just some validity to that statement of, you know, the war is not won with a single battle. The war is going to be fought, and it's going to be bloody, and it's going to be mean. Um, there was another point I was going for, and it's completely left my brain now. God, this feels like an old video right here. Completely and utterly just woo crazy. Um, for me, The Empire Strikes Back is indeed the most well-made film. Do I have any gripes with it? I don't find, like I said, the Han and Leia stuff to be particularly interesting. It's just not my favorite because there's like three main stories going side by side. It's Luke's story, Vader's story, and then their story, the Han, Leia, the Millennium Falcon story. And Luke's is interesting. Vader's is the most interesting because you actually get a real feel for how the Empire is operating, at least while Vader is there. Vader's presence is doubly as intimidating from New Hope. Um, Vader has a clear mission. There's a lot of intrigue as to why Luke Skywalker is important because, like, we all understood, oh, Anakin Skywalker from the last film. Yeah, I mean, like, people who only saw New Hope at this point. And then it's like, oh, why are they so concerned about the son of Skywalker? Because Obi-Wan said Luke was the son of a Jedi, but we didn't really get a sense of how important Anakin was. Um, and then, of course, Darth Vader. Oh, Darth Vader just killed him and all the other Jedi. Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess. And then it's like, oh, the son of Skywalker. Well, why is that important? Oh, you know, um, but it's just that when you go to the Millennium Falcon, I really just even today I fail to understand like why I'm supposed to be drawn into this. Now, mind you, I'm not like attacking Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, or any of them acting in the scenes. They're doing just fine. They're very competent. They're active, making me feel like they're characters that are actually operating. I just don't care about what those characters are going through. If I'm honest, I just when it interacts with the Empire, yes, but the whole oh God, Leia, I know you love me. I don't like you. Oh, you do. Yes, I do. God, just get it over with already. Just, I don't care. Is that's just me. I have a particularity with how I want to see a film, and that part of this film, while done competently, is just something I don't care about, to be honest. And if you love it, more power to you. If you enjoy those character bits, more power to you. It's just, I don't care. I would much rather see Vader, coming up with telemetry on his Super Star Destroyer than watch these two meander about one another, Um, I Empire is kind of hard to talk about and easy to talk about all rolled together because Empire is I could come on here and just for 10 minutes straight say Empire Strikes Back is great because of this, Empire Strikes Back is great because of that, Empire Strikes Back is great because it is Empire Strikes Back. Everyone knows Empire Strikes Back is probably the best made, most story driven film of all six of the saga. You don't need me to tell you that, and my gripes, as far as gripes go, they're very minimal. They're just things that, like, on a person to person basis annoy me or get on my nerves or make me want to, you know, uh or not make me want to do anything, but just they grate my nerves, and it's a personal thing. It's not a very film oriented thing. I'm not making an argument as to why the film is bad or why the film is good. When it comes to my personal gripes are just that, my personal gripes, things that I don't like or that annoy me about the film, and they're not very many. You know, it's the Han Leia stuff. When they get to Bespin, things kind of become a little bit slow, but I think that's intentional to make everyone take a breath. Luke's training with Yoda is interesting, but I don't find Dagobah to be all that great of a set piece. Like, I get it. The Swamp World thing, it looks kind of cool. It's very mysterious. I don't care about it. Like, Dagobah has never been a very interesting planet for me. Hoth is cool, but again, it's just all snow. But I mean, that's the point. The asteroid stuff, I feel, was like a little like I'm saying like a lot. The asteroid stuff was interesting, but not very investing. For me, Boba Fett was just thrown in there, and then you got your payoff with Return of the Jedi. He fucking flies into the Sarlacc. I mean, that's why I didn't give a shit about Boba Fett. Like, yeah, the armor's cool. Doesn't mean I'm gonna like obsess over him like a bunch of the old timer Star Wars fans. It's like, calm down. Really, I get it. His armor is cool. He has a nice little leather flap that goes behind his back. Oh, he tricked the Millennium Falcon and Han Solo because he chased after him. I get it. That's cool. I'm not literally going to obsess over him and his people's way of life for the next 20, 30 years. You know, I'd much rather see Vader and Luke interact more. You know, I got that in Return of the Jedi, which I'll get to someday. The Empire Strikes Back is, I want to say, my third or second favorite Star Wars film, because I have a list. My list is very different from yours. I'm pretty sure I feel pretty confident in saying Empire Strikes Back is like number 2 on my list, right after Revenge of the Sith. A lot of people are like shocked when I say Episode 1 is probably number 3, because it is. If I'm being honest. Because Return of the Jedi and Episode 1 fight for that spot, and then Attack of the Clones is like right at the bottom, but then A New Hope comes in right at the bottom of the bottom. I mean, really, what can you say about Empire Strikes Back that hasn't been said a million times? You know, Darth Vader is a presence. His presence has never been as presentable as there. Even in Return of the Jedi, he's still as stark and, you know, powerful of a presence, but he's not as much because he's not the central figure anymore. Luke has really ascended to be central figure. Luke has always been like the central figure, but it always felt like a flip-flop between him and Darth Vader because they are sharing the screen, and I think that is purposeful. But Vader really does start to take a backseat in Episode 6 to Luke's ascension. But Empire Strikes Back, you know, it's difficult because what is there to say? It is the most well-made of all the films, and all the films that Disney has been pumping out have been just trying, just begging. J.J. Abrams has such, you know, wannabeism for Episode 5. He's chasing after someone to claim his gloriousness, and he gets that from the critics. Sure, who the fuck cares what these overpaid dickheads say about his movies? Because none of them will actually aspire. No, I'm sorry. They all aspire to be Episode 5. None of them will actually acquire the same as Episode 5. And you know what? Good. Because he and his little gaggle of preening simpletons, the troglodytes at Disney, want so badly for the viewing audience to say, oh, it is the best thing since Episode 5, or it's even better than Episode 5. And yes, I have seen comments in YouTube videos of people saying, The Last Jedi honestly just defeats Episode 5 in every single way. If you think that way, You're more than free to think that way. But on a personal level, fuck you. There is no way I'm going to take you seriously to tell me that The Last Jedi is honestly better than Empire Strikes Back. Kill yourself, jump off a bridge, take your whole family with you. I'm being facetious, I'm joking, but honestly, if you're gonna tell me that The Last Jedi is somehow better than Empire Strikes Back, I can't conversate with you, because that is an opinion that I hazard to say is just wrong. An opinion is an opinion, but I'm sorry, I am on the fence of telling you that is a wrong opinion to have. Because there's so much wrong with that movie as compared to this, where it's a tight narrative. It has a clear end goal of where it has a clear end goal for what it wants. The Last Jedi very clearly does not understand what the fuck it wants. The Last Jedi has a character in it, the Last Jedi, quote unquote, who is so good at everything she does already. Why should I care? Luke had to fight so hard. And you know, this is like I said when The Last Jedi came out, I did not know how attached to Luke Skywalker I was until Last Jedi so clearly just shit on his legacy. Because to see where Luke goes through on episode 5 to where he goes to episode 6 and what he goes through there, and then to have Last Jedi just completely undermine his entire growth and character and story, and to sacrifice, it's like my bad fan fiction with the Anakin thing. Why do I need to have a character be sacrificed for Anakin to be good? Completely undermining their character progression just to fit Anakin's in the fan fiction. Same thing goes for Luke Skywalker and Mark Hamill. Why does he need to be sacrificed to progress someone else's character? Rey, you know? Who the fuck cares about Rey? You had a perfectly long film, The Force Awakens, to endear everyone towards Rey, and you failed miserably. I don't care what anyone says, like in hindsight, that film did not earn Rey anything. Rey did not earn her place. Rey did not earn her stature. Rey did not earn a character arc. And then when The Last Jedi came out, she didn't get one. She didn't give us anything. Not only is Daisy Ridley not a good actor, I'm sorry, whatever you want to say, she is not a good actress. She phones in her acting, and for someone who has very, very little prospect beyond this trilogy, that is a very low bar to set. And, you know, she brings, if that is her A game, then that's her A game. I don't know what to tell you, you know? But to see Luke Skywalker sacrificed for her benefit, and I know this is going off of Empire Strikes Back, so give me a minute here. To see Luke Skywalker and what he's accomplished here in Empire Strikes Back sacrificed to make her character, quote-unquote, progress in The Last Jedi, where Luke Skywalker struggled so hard to lift, you know, some rocks on Dagobah, and he couldn't lift an X-Wing, and then to have her be the one to lift all these rocks and be so great and so wonderful. She can get a triple kill on TIE fighters. She can lift a whole bunch of rocks. She can lift a sea of rocks. She can contend with Kylo Ren for Anakin's lightsaber. To forget that this is the same lightsaber that has murdered a bunch of children. That I'm going off topic again. I don't want to talk about Last Jedi again. So yeah, the only problem with The Empire Strikes Back are the sequels, because they try to on a film by film basis, on a canonicity progression, Disney wants you to forget Empire Strikes Back, because Empire Strikes Back holds Disney to a high standard that they fucking know they will never ever be able to reach, let alone supersede. And for that, I thank Empire Strikes Back, because Empire Strikes Back sets the bar very high for everything Disney does, and Disney can't even hope to get halfway there, and they've tried so hard, and the critics will fucking suck them off and tell them how great they are, but the viewing audiences have said, no, no, you are not anywhere near as good as Empire Strikes Back, so stop pretending you are. Disney has not gotten the memo there. Kathleen Kennedy, the stupid, simpleton, troglodyte, fucking Philistine that she is, does not get that she will never be held anywhere near in the regard as George Lucas, as Kasdan, as anyone who worked. The guy who supplied the food for Episode 5's crew has more of a standing as a staple of artistic creation than Kathleen Kennedy will ever have. That money-grubbing fucking producer material, slime ball, oil-filled, venomous, caustic snake in the grass that she is. Have I told you I don't like Kathleen Kennedy? Oh my god, I don't think anyone likes Kathleen Kennedy. I think the only people who like Kathleen Kennedy are Rian Johnson, J.J. Abrams, although J.J. might just say he likes her to, have a job. Bob Iger, because Bob Iger must have some nudies that she's holding over him. And what? Does she have kids? Her kids might like her, but then again, who knows? End of the day, Empire Strikes Back is my second favorite Star Wars film because it has set the bar so high. It has such a great narrative. Darth Vader sells it for me, and he sold it for me ever since. I could do without the Han Leia stuff, but it doesn't take away from the film. For me, I just don't care about it, but it doesn't take away from anything. So, that's the best I could hope for, is that if I don't like an aspect of a film, does it take anything away from the rest of it? No? Okay, then I don't care about it. It can stay or leave. And that's what, the Han Leia stuff is. It doesn't hurt the film. It's not a detriment to it for me or for anybody. If you don't like it like me, then just let the scenes go. Go get a sandwich in the meantime. Come back. Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker will be on screen. You'll be good. I haven't even talked about Yoda, but there's not really a lot to talk about Yoda. He does his role just fine in the film. I feel like Yoda definitely does get more explored in the prequels, and it's more deserving there. But even then, you need a bunch of secondary materials to really explore Yoda, because he's Yoda. So yeah, anyone who was coming in here expecting me to say I hated Empire, obviously you didn't watch the previous experience videos, or you must have thought that I'm a heretic. Empire Strikes Back, second favorite film. It is the most well-made Star Wars film of all six. I'm not gonna say Revenge of the Sith is better made, because that would be wrong, and that would be fanboyism as opposed to just reality. I'm not willing to sell I'm not willing to sell the truth of what film is better just to make myself feel better and claim that Revenge of the Sith is better than Empire Strikes Back. It is not. Do I get more enjoyment out of Revenge of the Sith personally? Yes. So that's why it is my favorite Star Wars film. But can I put my choice for most enjoyed film aside to say that Empire Strikes Back is in fact the better movie? Yes, I can do that, because I'm an adult. Unlike Disney and its preening simpleton gaggle of creators and fans who have no grounds to tell me anything about Empire Strikes Back, let alone Revenge of the Sith, let alone George Lucas, let alone anything that Star Wars was and always will be for me. Because it told a story, and Empire Strikes Back really cemented where that story was and where it wanted to go. So I will always respect Empire Strikes Back, and I will always love Empire Strikes Back. In fact, I haven't watched it in a long time. I probably should. Point is that Disney will never reach this level of filmmaking and artistic, creation within Star Wars. Whatever you want to say they've done with their own films, whatever you want to say they've done with Marvel, if Disney can even claim, that Marvel is their doing and not just creators within Marvel who want to tell their own stories, that's a whole other topic. Empire Strikes Back. Best film. Go watch it. How the fuck have you not seen it at this point? If you haven't seen it at this point, please go watch it. If I've spoiled things for you, I'm sorry. But, yeah. That's my experience with Empire Strikes Back, people. What did you experience? Let me know. What was your first time seeing Empire Strikes Back like? Were you as stupid as I was and didn't see New Hope, or did whatever? Just tell me what happened. Patreon link in the description. Gotta sell myself. I gotta shill myself out. I learned from the best. Kathleen Kennedy and Disney. Tell me what you all thought, and I will see you, because I have eyeballs in your computer, at the next one. Peace.